Hi, welcome. My name is Debbie Prue. I'm the Executive Director of NAMI Pasco. We're going to have a presentation today on wellness. And Alyssa, do you want to introduce yourself and start your presentation?
Thank you, everyone. My name is Alyssa Smith. I work with the Pasco County Health Department, and I am absolutely delighted to be here with you all today to talk a little bit about reducing stress and creating wellness. I just said that. That's me with the health department. Not to get too formal, but just so you know what you're getting yourself into today, our goals of today's presentation are to recognize some common causes and symptoms of stress, explore the concept of resilience, which is something I've been a little obsessed with lately, and to practice some stress management techniques together. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Questions and comments are welcome throughout the presentation. I said on the screen here to use the chat, but I can't see it because I'm on my little tiny laptop screen. But my friend Debbie is going to help me look out for things in the chat. But I do like to keep it interactive. It keeps it interesting for all of us involved. So please feel free to chime in if you have anything to contribute. This is your time for good vibes. You have carved out this hour just for you, for your wellness. So please make yourself feel great. If you need to stretch, doodle, fidget, whatever you need to do, get cozy. I got my cup of tea. I hope you have your tea or coffee, whatever makes you feel great. So we're going to talk a little bit about stress first, get the bad news out of the way, and then we're going to go into the fun part, in my opinion, talking about the coping strategies. But just to start with a base understanding of stress, our bodies are actually designed to experience it. It's very normal. Our ancestors developed stress response to run from saber-toothed tigers and things like that. We needed our heart rates to go up, our respirations to go up, our adrenaline to start pumping as a survival mechanism. Today, we don't need to worry too much about saber-toothed tigers, but we still can use stress in positive ways. It can help keep us motivated to meet deadlines or to keep going. It can help keep us alert and prevent boredom. And it can still help us avoid danger. Say if you're walking in the neighborhood and a stray dog comes by that doesn't look too friendly, stress is your friend in that situation and can help you get going to safety. The point at which stress becomes negative is when we experience too much of it, when we don't get a break, when we don't get that time to breathe, and it's just one thing after another, or we're stuck in a situation that we can't escape that's stressful. I think all of us, if we didn't already have some kind of stressor in our lives, are experiencing this collective stress with the pandemic that we're living through right now. It's been going on for way too long. None of us could ever imagine what life looks like today versus a year and a half ago. So I think we can all relate to what this experience of kind of chronic stress feels like. There's lots of different ways that we can have stress in our lives, lots of different places that it comes from, but I've kind of organized it into two broad buckets or sources, internal and external. I'll start by talking about external. External sources of stress are things that we do not have control over. I put a little icon of a storm here because I work at the health department and we are supposed to open up special needs shelters during hurricanes. And hurricane season is right around the corner. We actually just had a meeting about it this morning at the health department and getting prepared. And it's always a little stressful. If there's a storm brewing in the Gulf or the Atlantic, we are watching the news like a hawk because that means we need to get our bags ready. We need to prepare to leave our homes and our families to go and assist other people in the community, which is very rewarding, but as you can imagine, also highly stressful. So hurricanes are definitely an external source of stress for me and my friends at the health department. Other external sources of stress are things like traffic, maybe coworkers, family members that are a little bit difficult, any behaviors of other people, anything that happens to us that we don't have control over. Internal sources of stress are the things we do have control over. And really, these are the only things in life we have control over, period. Our thoughts and our actions, the way we choose to think about a situation and the way we react to it. So this has to do with setting a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. So thinking about a problem as an opportunity to learn something. And sometimes that's really, really hard. I don't mean to oversimplify it, but we can get there with practice. always trying to shift the mind into seeing what is the gift here, or what's the opportunity? What can I learn from this situation? So that's a good way to kind of control our internal mindset and our internal stressors, not putting pressure on ourselves. I wanted to include a quote here by William James, who is a long gone gentleman. He was considered the father of modern American psychology. And he said, the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. You may have come into situations in life where you see something happen and two people react to it very differently. Say there's a fender bender on the road, little car accident, no one really got hurt. You know, there's definitely damage on the car. One person may completely have a meltdown and it's the worst thing that's ever happened to them, while the other person remains calm, thinks, okay, we're going to get through this. Let's just call the insurance and do what we have to do. Same situation, but you're looking at two completely different mindsets there. And that's the choice that I'm talking about. Again, not trying to oversimplify it. I know it's not easy, but if we practice, we can retrain our brains to try to think in this growth mindset pattern. Wanted to include some of the body's cues that are kind of red flags when we're experiencing stress. And there's the list for this could go on and on, but it's too much to fit on one slide. And we all experience stress differently. So I've included just a few here, kind of working from head to toe. Some people get headaches, some get pain and tension in the body. I know I always get mine up here in the shoulders. You might experience shortness of breath or trouble taking a nice deep breath. Some people have tummy problems. They want to eat a lot, they get the munchies, or they just don't want to eat at all. They have no appetite. You might feel like you're nauseous or have knots in your stomach. Some people get heartburn or their blood pressure goes up. Some people have sleep issues or even strange dreams. I know when I'm stressed, this sounds bizarre, I always have dreams about dinosaurs, like Jurassic Park. It's quite scary, but I know I'm stressed when I start having the dinosaur dreams. So these are just a few ways that stress can present in the body, and it's important for you to know your red flags. So when you start feeling that tension in your stomach or in your shoulders, or if you're having those weird dreams that you know happen when you're stressed, that's a signal to you to carve out a little bit of time just for you to really focus in on your self-care. I'm going to move into the good news portion of the presentation and talk a little bit about resilience. This has been a real buzzword in the world of public health where I work since the pandemic started, is this ability to bend but not break during extreme times of adversity, or even small challenges. Depending on your state of mind, sometimes even little things can kind of set you over. But resilience teaches us to be flexible, to look for learning experiences in hard times, and to be able to shift and adapt to our surroundings. Some people are just kind of naturally resilient people. It has a lot to do with your personality you were born with and with your nurturing and upbringing. Some people are not as resilient, and that's okay, because the good news is you can actually build your resilience muscle. You don't have to go to the gym either. You can build your resilience muscle in a few ways. One is through mindset, like we talked about a little already. One is through social connection. This is a really important part of building resilience, is having people that you can depend on in your life and you can turn to, whether that's friends, family, coworker, someone at a church group, or some kind of community organization, a wonderful place like NAMI that provides support to community members. These are places you can turn to build your resilience muscle, having that social connection. Very closely related to social connection is our ability to set boundaries when we need to. I heard a really great quote from another resilience presentation that I was attending, and the speaker said, whenever we say yes to something, we say no to something else. And I was thinking in regards to our time, and have you ever felt like you just have a lot on your plate and you just can't say yes to one more thing, but people are still asking? Sometimes we have to say yes if it's for work or if it's just something that needs to get done, but in certain situations, we have a choice. So think about that. If you're feeling really overwhelmed and you feel like you need a rest, think about what you can kind of push off your plate if your plate's feeling too full. So those are some ways we can build our resilience muscle. Something important to remember here is this is a journey, not a destination. This is something that we will always be working toward and striving for in our lives. You never get to the point of like, I'm 100% resilient and nothing can phase me. This is always something that we just need to incorporate in our lives as daily practice. We need to recognize that some of our current coping strategies might not be sustainable. I had an experience like this recently. Uh, I work in public health. It's been a really rough year for everyone and for us at the health department. There's been a lot going on with COVID and everything. And I don't mean to make the whole presentation about COVID, but I think that's a shared experience we can all relate to being affected by. And one of my coping strategies was crawling into bed earlier than usual and kind of scrolling through social media. Has anyone had this experience? And I realized I was spending a couple hours a night, and this was my way of escape and not thinking about the stress of work or the impacts it's had on my family. It was my way of escape. But what I didn't realize is this is not helping at all. I need to get my body moving, maybe read a book or something that serves me a little better. So if you have practices that you've been leaning on that you're kind of suspicious aren't working for you, take a closer look and see if you can replace that with something healthier for you. It's important to remember that we don't need to make big, huge changes in our lives, just like with anything, like if we're trying to start an exercise plan or change the foods that we consume. Big changes often are also not sustainable, so take baby steps. Like I said, this is a journey that we're going to be on the rest of our lives to wellness. So don't feel like you have to run or sprint toward any certain goals. Just make a small change and see if it works for you. We're going to get into the portion where we're talking about some strategies, and we're going to practice some together if you'd like. There's many, many ways to cope with stress and build resilience, and I've kind of organized them into three broad categories here. Physiological has to do with the body. This is relaxation exercises, make sure we're nourishing ourselves with healthy foods that feel right to us, moving your body in whatever way that looks good and feels good to you, and making sure we're getting enough sleep. We're also going to practice a couple breathing exercises together. The cognitive and emotional bucket has to do with changing the way that we think about situations, going back to that growth mindset that we were talking about a little bit ago. Choosing a mindset that serves us better, being in tune with our emotions and expressing them when we need to in healthy ways, and creating awareness around our stressors. And then finally, the behavioral bucket has to do with things we do, things like managing our time, being assertive, creating boundaries when we need to, and changing behaviors that don't serve us. I came across this really fantastic acronym called Nourish, and this is going to guide kind of the rest of our conversation because it sums up all of the things that we can do to contribute to our feelings of joy and relaxation. I included a really nerdy little, I hope you can see it and the camera's not blocking it, but I included a really nerdy little graphic here about the two things we really only enjoy, and it has serotonin and dopamine, and those are the neurotransmitters that are released in our brain when we're that help us feel the experiences of joy and relaxation and pleasure. And all of these practices and the Nourish acronym help release these neurotransmitters. So we'll dive in and talk about them each. The N in Nourish is for noticing nature. We are really lucky here in Pasco County and the surrounding areas to have some beautiful green spaces and spaces on the water that can contribute to our well-being if we get out there and enjoy them. There's a lot of science and research behind the benefits of spending time in nature. It's been shown to improve symptoms of depression and anxiety. It's been shown that less stimulation that we're bombarded with day to day can help us feel more relaxed and grateful. Have you ever thought about just day to day, how much is coming at us, either through screens? I know we're all living in a Zoom world these days where we're on technology a lot more than we used to be, and we're not having that face-to-face interaction as much, which means we're looking at a lot more of our phones, a lot more of our televisions, a lot more of our computer screens. That can be very draining, and that's a lot of light coming at us and stimulation and colors. Just driving to the store or driving to work or going anywhere. And I live in the Wesley Chapel area, so this is especially true for me. There's been a lot more traffic, and there's just a lot coming at you in the form of traffic, road signs, honking, it's a lot out there in the world. When we get out into nature, this provides our brains a chance to unplug and relax. all of this technology is fairly recent. If you think about it, in the last 100, 150 years or so, that we have all of this technology in our lives every day. So I think sometimes our brains are trying to catch up with that. And what we are wired for is what you see on the screen, like a peaceful green grass, trees, flowers, birds, sky. And I'm not trying to sound too hippy dippy here, but like I said, this is backed by science, and you will feel the difference if you step into a park and you haven't been out in a while, or if you see a beautiful lake or go to the beach and you haven't seen a vast expanse of water in a while. You can feel the relaxation coming over your body. It's our opportunity to slow down and unplug. Another thing that's great about nature is it creates and reignites a sense of wonder. When we were kids, it was not uncommon to spend a lot of time outdoors, looking at the stars, looking at the clouds, finding shapes. We don't do that as much as adults. So if it's been a while since you've just gazed at the stars or the moon, I would encourage you to get out there tonight and give it a try. The weather's been really nice too. I want to pause just to make sure there's no questions or comments before I go on. Is everything good to go? I think I'm seeing, I think I see a question from Mark. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, Ms. Alyssa. Thank you for being here and holding this presentation. I wanted to ask about what I have written down for self-care strategies. You mentioned that the first one on the left-hand side was physiological, then cognitive, then behavioral. Is that kind of like the order of operations per se, or are they interchangeable, or can they work all in harmony per se? Because my thing is with my mental health, I like to spearhead awareness and consciousness, and then that being aware, that number two, cognitive and emotional, where it then sets me for the breathing, which is the physiological. And so I just wanted to ask you that question: are they interchangeable? Can you make it? Is it whatever suits our day-to-days?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mark. Thanks for asking it. They're absolutely interchangeable. And I want to share this with you to add tools to your toolbox if you don't have this already. So it's whatever feels right to you. For some people, breathing exercises might be really great. Whereas I've heard plenty of people saying, like, I cannot just sit and breathe. So it all is what works for you. So there's no rank order. One's not more effective than the other. It's all what depends on the person and what works for them. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, absolutely. Any others before I keep going? All right, I'll keep moving along. The O in nourish is for observing your breath. And this is where we get to have some fun together. If you would like to try a couple breathing exercises, I'm just going to check the time. Yeah, we got plenty of time here. So there's two I have on the screen. Breath is our friend. Like I said, for some people, they really enjoy the feeling of focusing on the breath and taking some deep breaths and find that very calming. If that's not your thing, that's totally fine. There's lots of other things that can be your thing. The cool thing about your breath, though, is we always have this. As long as we're alive, my friends, we are breathing. So we always have this tool with us. And I have a couple kind of more formal breathing strategies that I'd like to share with you. The first one is called box breathing. I learned about this one when I was listening to a podcast with a gentleman who was a Navy SEAL. And this is something he and his soldiers practice to help keep them calm. And as you can imagine, being a Navy SEAL is probably a pretty stressful and high intensity job. So I'm going to explain how it works, and then I'll do the counting if you want to try it together. So it has to do with focusing on the breath. And the way it works is you breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath at the top of the breath for 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then hold it at the bottom of the breath for a count of 4. So I'll do the counting if you want to try to do the breathing, okay? Here we go. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, and hold, 2, 3, 4. Did anybody try it? If you tried it, I hope you felt something. I know it's hard for me to breathe and count at the same time. So I wasn't able to do it, but if you tried it, I hope you liked it. If anything, it's a way to slow down the breath, which is closely linked to the mind. So often when we can slow the breath, we can slow down the mind in those moments where we're feeling anxious or stressed. And we always have this with us. The counting is also nice because sometimes it switches your attention from whatever it is that's stressing you out and just helps you kind of focus more in on the moment, which brings in that mindfulness component. The second one is alternate nostril breathing, and this is my personal favorite. Now I'm going to demonstrate on screen, and I'm going to look and sound a little funny because I'm going to be holding my nose, but I would hope you give it a try if you want to. It feels great. So it goes like this. So I take my 2 fingers and put them on the middle of my forehead, kind of between my eyes. Stick out your pinky and stick out your thumb. I hope you can see me okay. So we're going to breathe in one side and out the other, and then switch. So you're going to put your pinky down and breathe in. Switch and put your thumb down and breathe out. Breathe in. Switch and put your pinky down and breathe out. That always makes me feel instantly calm. Like I said, it looks a little funny, but if you're alone by yourself or you just don't care, please do give that a try during any times we need to calm down quickly. Or there's always just taking a good old-fashioned deep breath. If you don't want to do any of the counting or holding of the nose, just taking some full deep breaths in and out through the nose if you can, and filling up your belly with air, just focusing only on the feeling and the sound of your breath can be very, very therapeutic. The U in Nourish is for uniting with others. We touched on this a little bit already, that importance of social connection. I just love NAMI for all the great services and support they offer in our community. Free, it's amazing. So thank you, NAMI, for doing what you do. You're contributing to resilience and wellness in the community by everything you offer our residents here. If you feel like you're missing this in your life, if you're missing some kind of social connection, I know it's hard sometimes to put yourself out there, but it is essential to our well-being. And a little goes a long way. If you're an introvert like me, then a little does go a long way. And we do need that time to also recharge our batteries. So find your balance, find what works for you. If you're an extrovert and you need more of that, take the opportunity to get involved. The opportunities are out there in your community to volunteer, to get involved with an organization like NAMI. But getting connected with folks at whatever level feels comfortable for you is essential. If you weren't hungry for lunch already, then you're gonna be after looking at this slide. This is the most delicious slide I've ever prepared. The R in Nourish is for replenishing with food. And these are foods, when we talk about healthy foods, I'm not talking about, stuff that tastes like cardboard. Healthy looks different for everybody, but it is important to nourish your body with the basics, whole grains like brown rice or whole wheat toast, lean proteins like chicken or tofu, whatever feels right for you, beans, plenty of veggies. There's a lot of science behind green leafy vegetables that help us feel better and help us reduce feelings of stress, and that low-fat dairy. So those are kind of the basics, but don't feel like you always have to eat healthy. Please do treat yourself with that piece of chocolate cake or cheesecake or whatever feels right to you. But please do, friends, nourish yourself with good foods. Make sure you're getting enough of it, but not too much of it. Again, just like everything in life, it's a balance. And please don't forget to treat yourself. The I is for initiating movement. And this is either through exercise, walking, yoga, whatever feels right for you. You don't have to go out there and run a marathon or lift weights at the gym to initiate movement in your body. Sometimes that can just be picking up around the house. That counts as exercise, Could be working in a garden, pulling weeds. Walking is one of my favorite things to do. Running is not a favorite thing of mine, but I do love to go for walks, and I try to do it almost every day. Another great way to initiate movement in your life is through stretching. So I wanted to share a few stretches with you because something I've learned from yoga is the more flexible we can be in our physical bodies, that helps our minds also be flexible and pliable. So I have a few great stretches. These are especially good if you have found yourself, You can hear my dog barking in the background. He doesn't like me presenting. I don't know if you can hear him, but he keeps riffing. Anyhow, if you find yourself in front of a computer a lot or using your hands a lot, these are great for you. So the first one is a wrist and finger stretch. And let's be very, very gentle. We don't want to hurt ourselves. So gentle stretching here. This one is, try to get on camera. You're going to hold your arm kind of out straight with your palm facing up. Take your other hand and gently kind of pull your fingers down, just really gently. You should feel a nice stretch in your wrists and your hands. And you can try that on the other side. Might even be feeling a nice stretch, and be really gentle. We don't want to hurt ourselves here. And that one just feels so good if you've been typing on a keyboard a lot. Next one is a cross-body shoulder stretch. Again, let's be real careful. We don't want to pop any shoulders out of socket here, so be gentle with yourselves. You're going to take your arm and move it across your body and just use your other hand to just very gently kind of squeeze in. Really gentle, don't hurt yourself, especially if you've ever had any shoulder injuries. Be careful with this one. And then try that on the other side. Just kind of stretching out the upper back and the shoulder. Feels so good. I've been in a lot of meetings this morning, so I'm loving this right now. Next one is a personal favorite, a bear hug, because we all love ourselves so much. You can just give yourself a big hug and just squeeze. Should be feeling a nice stretch in your chest and back. And you can switch to the other arms on top and just squeeze, because we love ourselves and we deserve this nice big hug today. Last one is an overhead stretch. So we're going to interlock our fingers like this in front of us, stretch out. Trying to fit on camera. Yep, Kim knows where we're going. And just stretch right up. I want you to be conscious of your shoulders and lower your shoulders a little bit. You might feel some nice pops and cracks in your upper back and shoulders. And then as you're coming down, just really take up space because you deserve it. Take up all the space. Oh, I don't know about you, but I really needed that today. So those are a few nice stretches that you can practice anytime just to move your body and get your blood flowing a little bit. The S in Nourish is for sitting in stillness. And this has to do with mindfulness. I'm not sure if you all have been exposed to the concept of mindfulness before. There's a lot of misconception around it. When we think of mindfulness and meditation, there's this idea that you're supposed to empty your mind of thoughts or block every thought in your mind. That's impossible. I don't know if you've noticed, but we have thoughts running through our mind constantly. So the point with mindfulness is not to empty the mind of thoughts, but to accept the thoughts that come into our mind and not cling to them, not attach to them, to recognize the thought and then let it go. That's what mindfulness is about, just creating an awareness of the present moment. I'd like to practice an activity with you here. I'll just do 30 seconds instead of a full minute, because a full minute of quiet, and my daughter just got home, so it's going to get louder. It's not going to be quiet at my house. But let's just sit for about 30 seconds in stillness, and I want you just to observe without judgment anything that you see, anything that you hear, and anything that you feel right now. And I'd love to hear if you notice anything that you didn't notice before. So I'll stop talking for about 30 seconds. All right, that was about 30 seconds. Did anyone notice anything that they didn't notice before? I know I noticed the hum of my computer. I could feel the energy running through my body, giving this presentation. I could hear my family downstairs. Ken, please share. Oh, you're muted, my friend. Oh, can't hear you yet. Oh, there we go. Yep.
I heard the bubbles in my soda can.
Wow.
Sparkling like I couldn't hear that.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I had the soda here and it snapping like, bubbling, carbonation.
Yeah.
So that was different.
Subtle. That's really neat. That is so, I haven't heard that one before. That is so beautiful to me. Anyone else notice anything? that they didn't hear before? A lot of people say they can hear the hum of their air conditioner or the ticking of a clock. These are things that are always around us that are just beyond our awareness because we're so head down in whatever we're doing, or because of those incessant thoughts that we have going through our mind. So mindfulness can really be grounding for us and bring us to this present moment. Because when you think about it, a lot of times our thoughts are based in the past. Or maybe thinking about things we did. Should we have done it? Shouldn't we have done it? Or maybe our minds are drifting to the future, thinking about our grocery list or what we need to do the next day or the next month or the next year. But all we really have, the gift that we have, is right here in the present moment. This is what we have. And there's so much beauty and nuance to it, like hearing the sparkles in your soda. So thank you so much for sharing that. And again, a great tool to just keep with you anytime you're feeling a little frazzled, a little stressed. You can just come back to the breath, come back to the stillness and the quiet, even if it's just for 30 seconds. It can do you a lot of good. Finally, the H in Nourish is for harnessing creativity. Creativity can come in many forms. We all have different talents. Yes, I shamelessly put a picture of myself in my presentation in an ugly Christmas sweater. That's a way that I love to be creative, is when I have a hot glue gun in my hand. I don't know if there's any other crafters in the room, but I just feel great. Coloring, painting, knitting, woodworking, working with clay, playing any type of musical instrument, or just playing music. I was really loving the reggae vibes at the beginning of the presentation. The cool thing about creativity and what makes it so beneficial is when we're engaged in creative activities, it puts your brain into what's called a flow state. And when you're in a flow state, maybe you've felt this before, kind of everything else just melts away and you're completely focused on the task at hand. So I know music does this for me, art and creative activities do this for me. So even if you say I'm not a creative person, which I've met many people who are like, I can't draw, I can't do any of that. Find what works for you, whether it's dance or some kind of movement or just listening to your favorite song. Find something that unleashes your creativity and makes you feel human. That is what sets us apart from the animal world, is we have this ability to create. So please find what works for you. I have a little video I'd like to share. Just checking the time. Okay, we're still good on time. This is oh, did I have a question? Nope. Okay, I thought I heard something. I'd like to share this short video. It's just about 4 or 5 minutes, and it kind of brings together these ideas of mindfulness, gratitude, and nature, the benefits of nature that we were talking about. And I'm just going to go ahead and play it for you. It doesn't really need much of an introduction. Let me know if you're having trouble with the sound. Hopefully you can hear the sound.
Nature's beauty is a gift that cultivates appreciation and gratitude. So I have a gift I want to share with you today, a project I'm working on called Happiness Revealed. And it'll give us a glimpse into that perspective from the point of view of a child and an elderly man of that world.
When I watch TV, it's just some shows that are pretend. And when you explore, you get more imagination than you already had. And when you get more imagination, it makes you want to go deeper in, so you can get more and see beautiful things. Like the path. If it's a path, it could lead you to a beach or something, and it could be beautiful.
You think this is just another day in your life? It's not just another day. It's the one day that is given to you today. It's given to you. It's a gift. It's the only gift that you have right now, and the only appropriate response is gratefulness. If you do nothing else but to cultivate that response to the great gift that this unique day is, if you learn to respond as if it were the first day in your life and the very last day, then you will have spent this day very well. Begin by opening your eyes and be surprised that you have eyes you can open. That incredible array of colors that is constantly offered to us for pure enjoyment. Look at the sky. We so rarely look at the sky. We so rarely note how different it is from moment to moment with clouds coming and going. We just think of the weather, and even of the weather we don't think of all the many nuances of weather. We just think of good weather and bad weather. This day, right now, is unique weather. Maybe a kind that will never exactly in that form come again. The formation of clouds in the sky will never be the same that is right now. Open your eyes, look at that. Look at the faces of people whom you meet. Each one has an incredible story behind their face. A story that you could never fully fathom. Not only their own story, but the story of their ancestors. We all go back so far. And in this present moment, on this day, all the people you meet, all that life from generations and from so many places all over the world, flows together and meets you here like a life-giving water if you only open your heart and drink. Open your heart to the incredible gifts that civilization gives to us. You flip a switch and there is electric light. You turn a faucet and there is warm water and cold water and drinkable water. It's a gift that millions and millions in the world will never experience. So these are just a few of an enormous number of gifts to which we can open your heart. And so I wish you that you will open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you. That everyone whom you will meet on this day will be blessed by you. Just by your eyes, by your smile, by your touch, just by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. And then it will really be a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any thoughts about that? I don't know about you. I've seen that so many times and I still get like a little teary-eyed every time I watch it. I just think it's really beautiful. I hope it spoke to you. Just a reminder of how much, life is hard. It can get super hard, but it and even harder to find the gifts and to find the gratitude. But practicing gratitude is one of the most important things we can do for our well-being and also for the well-being of those around us. So I included the next slide just to dive a little deeper into gratitude. I'd like to take a moment right now for all of us to express our gratitude, if you can right now. Think of a person that you're thankful for, that's impacted your life in a positive way, that's helped you. And if you have the ability right now, I want you to pick up your phone or write a note, or if this is a person that you cannot just text or or write to, just think about them in your mind, manifest the thought of them in your mind, and just send feelings of gratitude out there into the universe. But just take a moment to express gratitude. When we express gratitude, it's a double gift. The person on the receiving end knows that we care about them. And how often do you just hear, like, thank you so much, you changed my life? We don't hear that every day. So it feels so refreshing when we do. So the person that you're expressing the gratitude to gets a gift, but you also get a gift, because research shows that expressing gratitude regularly and practicing gratitude can actually increase your happiness. There's been studies on it, and not to make it all about science, it's more about feeling. I know I feel fantastic when I just kind of go that little extra inch to leave someone a Post-it note on their desk and say, thanks for the talk, or send a quick email saying, wow, you did a great job today, or texting a friend or family member just randomly and saying, I miss you and you mean so much to me. So if you haven't expressed gratitude in a while, please do give it a try. I'd really encourage you to spread that love and then feel the warmth of that love yourself. And I'm almost at the end of the presentation. Debbie very graciously dropped a worksheet in the chat, a really cool little activity called the Wellness Wheel. And this is a cool little self-assessment we can do on ourselves to see if there's any parts of our lives that are out of balance. So wellness is not just what we eat and how much we exercise. It has to do with so much more. And this kind of breaks it down into 6 different realms of physical, occupational, which could also mean like volunteering, things like that. How we spend our time. Intellectual, are we challenging ourselves? Are we setting goals? Are we learning new things? Emotional, social, and spiritual. And spiritual is not to say like you have to go to church or anything, although that's certainly a way that you can be spiritual. But this has to do with finding purpose and meaning in your life. So again, if you're able to access the worksheet in the chat, and if you're interested in doing it, there's a great little activity where you have a wellness wheel that you get to color in, so you can tap into your creativity. And there's a list of questions that go along with it. So for physical, a question might be, do I move my body? I can't remember exactly how the question's worded, but do I move my body in some way on a regular basis? If you do that 100% of the time, you would color in the little spoke on the wheel, 100%. If you only do that 50% of the time, you would color in that spoke on the wheel 50%. So when you go through the coloring and answering all the questions, you'll have this little wheel that shows you, if your physical spoke of the wheel is not looking too colored in, then maybe that's an area in your life that needs a little more care and attention. Or if your social part of the wheel is not very colored in, then maybe you want to focus in there a little more. And again, it's all in finding what feels right for you and what feels balanced for you. But just wanted to share that little activity about total and whole person wellness. I wanted to share a few resources. I probably didn't need to include the first one on NAMI, but there it is. You already know about NAMI and how great they are, and all the great opportunities you have to promote to your own personal wellness and to those in your life. Another one is mentalhealth.gov. They also have some resources, information, and opportunity to find local providers if that's something that you need. And the substance abuse mental health support at, the Service Administration on Mental Health and Substance Abuse. I always get that acronym messed up. It's a long one. National Helpline is also a way to find referrals for local providers if that's something that you need to help support you in your life. So I just want to include a few resources. And then finally, closing with another great quote. We've talked a lot about self-care, and a lot of times in life we are very quick to extend care and help to others, but we forget to put ourselves first. So I just want to remind you that if your compassion doesn't include yourself, then it's not complete. And I'd like to express my gratitude to all of you for allowing me into your space today. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you so much. You've been a wonderful group. Any questions, comments?
You were fantastic, Alyssa.
Oh, Debbie, thank you. I think you all are fantastic.
I just wanted to say thank you. This was an excellent presentation, and I found it very helpful.
Thank you so much. Your feedback means a lot to me. That made my day. Thank you.
I think that the video was very important, and to see that life is to be enjoyed not only as a child and a senior per se, but everything in between. And I found the video to be very warming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I always get good feedback on the video. I came across that a few years ago and shared it with my husband, and he listens to it. If he ever has like a rough day at work or something, he'll listen to it on the way home, and we always just find it very uplifting. And no matter how many times I watch it, like I said, I still get a little bit of, I'm just a sensitive person too. So it really speaks to me, but I think it's a great reminder to be grateful for what we have, and the little things like being able to turn on a faucet and have water. You know, that is not a luxury that people have worldwide. And being able to flip a light switch and, at will and have that. These are just kind of sometimes things that we don't think about being grateful for, but are huge luxuries. So it's a good reminder for that. It's very humbling. Any other thoughts, questions? Oh, go ahead. I think
Just I wanted to tell you, it's spoken very well. I understood everything. You kept my attention, which is very hard to do. And you just, great presentation, good speaking voice.
You. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I try to keep it interactive because I know what it feels like to be in a presentation that feels like it's never going to end. So I think we all can relate to that. So thank you so much for that feedback. And if you think of anything after the fact, Debbie knows how to contact me. If you think of any ways it could be improved, or if there's anything else that you think folks could benefit from, I would love to hear that feedback as well. Always trying to improve and make it better.
Thank you so much, Alyssa.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was awesome. This was the highlight of my day for sure.